I got my head out the sunroof. I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than a sunshine in my eyes. I'm feeling like this might be my time to shine with you, with you, with you. I got my head out the sunroof. I'm blasting our favorite tunes.
Welcome to In the Middle and Out of the Box, episode 10. Today we have a special guest, Fran Necklace. I want to give you a little bit of background of her. She's our brand new Boca Raton commissioner, and she has a lot of experience, and we want to kind of go through it and hear from her all the new and exciting things that are happening in Boca. So first, I just want to give you a little bit of background about her. She was raised in Palm Beach County. She's been in Boca since 1996. You have me beat a couple years. I was 2000. She has a lot of volunteerism. She was involved with the George Snow Foundation on the Board of Trustees. She was a top fundraiser there. She has a nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
Called Safe Sun.
Safe Sun.
And you've had that for 10 years, right, with your husband?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So we started Safe Sun. You know Nathan. You know what he does, and we were trying to come up with a nonprofit. We work a lot with other nonprofits, but trying to come up with something that we could do. And with his work of repairing Mohs defects and seeing a lot of people after devastating injuries from skin cancer and repairing those, we said our kids were all athletes. They were all out in the sun. We were runners and we're out in the sun a lot. So we said, sun safety and sun awareness are something that down in our area nobody was really doing. There is an organization up in Palm Beach called the Richard David Kahn Melanoma Foundation, and we actually did donate funds to them as we raised them. But here in our area, there was nobody really doing that. And, whenever you do anything like this, it really should resonate with you, and it should be something that's personal to you. And I think when it is, you just work that much harder for it.
Definitely.
So that was something that we both really cared about. And so we sat on our couch and we decided, came up with the name Safe Sun. And we have had it for 10 years, and I have stepped down from the board of Safe Sun now since I started on city council. My husband is the board of Safe Sun. Obviously, nobody gets paid. All the money donated goes out to our beneficiaries, and we've donated a little over $500,000 back into our community over the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So,
When I saw
thanks.
that, I was very impressed.
We're very happy about
Yeah.
it. We're a small, compared to a lot of the charities around here, we're pretty small, but we feel like we've made an impact. So.
Absolutely. You were also your HOA board president, and when I was going through your background, looking at all your volunteerism and accolades that you have gotten, it's just, to me, incredible. It was just so impressive. And I just, I know you've raised 4 kids in Boca also, right? And I'm an empty nester. You're an empty nester.
Yeah.
How you doing with that?
Well, luckily, thank God for FaceTime. And luckily, 2 of our kids, one lives here in Boca,
Locally,
and our other one lives down in Fort Lauderdale. And then the ones that live out of state, we talk to every night and FaceTime a lot.
that's
And,
nice.
and they come here and we go there. So it's tough, but luckily I also have my husband who I really enjoy spending time with, and I don't get enough time with. So the fact that I really like him and enjoy spending time with him is helpful.
That's important.
Yes.
I know. I also know your husband. My husband knows him too, and we've known him for many years. And he's probably one of the nicest, kindest doctors in the area. We actually enjoy going to see him. I know that sounds crazy, but he was so helpful in so many issues that I had and so forth, and just was so super nice. And I was like, he's just a special kind person, and so are you. So.
Thank you. I agree with you on that about him, but thank you.
And yourself. So with all your, I just think that overall, I think when I was reading your background and, like I said, all your volunteerism and accolades and so forth that you've been given, I just think you are the perfect representative for Boca Raton. You are, Miss Boca Raton. you have been here for so long as far as, and had such a positive impact. So I just wanted to say congratulations.
Thank you.
I
Thank
really
you.
wanted to say that.
It's really been fun, and everything has just happened so organically with meeting people, and the more you get involved, the more people you meet, and these relationships we've built over the decades. I also grew up in Delray, so I went to Atlantic High School, then went to University of Florida, so I have all these relationships from all these years, and I think that's what life's really about. And it just happened that it was all the right timing for me for this. So something I love, and I never knew that I was going to want to do this, but I'm very, very happy and grateful to be in the position I'm in right now.
Great. I think you're going to be great.
Thank you.
So you've brought us some updates today on some positive things that are happening in Boca.
Yeah. So we were joking around, but I am going to mention Food Truck Friday because I did go there this morning. It started at 11, went till 2 o'clock. It came back to the Wildflower Park, which is our new park here in Boca. And if you haven't been, have you been to the Wildflower?
I've been there several times.
Okay. I try to tell everybody, especially friends of mine that have kids, that you need to go because it's just beautiful and it's very peaceful. And I am planning on picking up either V&S subs or some pizza to sit there in the park and enjoy that with my husband one night. But we went and took a family picture there on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I love the promenade.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it's small, but it's got plenty of shade if you want to sit in the shade, if you want to enjoy sitting out on the grass. And the day that it opened, I just took a look around because there was little kids running through the water. There was this little girl who must have been 3 or 4 just running across a little patch of grass with a kite, and everybody just enjoying it. The day was beautiful, of course, of the opening. And as I do so many times in our city, I just looked around and said, how lucky are we?
I know. It's just like paradise, right?
Yes. So.
And ever since they opened up that other side, too, with the
Silver Palm Park, yeah.
I mean, it's just so nice to be able to just walk freely kind of underneath and just go back and forth kind of.
Yeah, so nice. Food Truck Friday was today. Okay. It was fun, had some good food, and the next one will be March 3rd at Patch Reef Park.
And how many food trucks did they have?
They had I think it was 4 or 5.
Okay, good.
So we ate at 2 of them.
And they had a good mix of
they had a good mix of food, and people were sitting at every table when we were there. So I kind of liked your idea that we talked about it, maybe having it opened a little later so folks could stop by after work. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Some people suggested like a 5 to 7 kind of dusk, dinner kind of thing. So for people that are working.
Right, because those people miss out on things. Sometimes I know because I did miss out on things for many years. So,
well, that's great
but I love that suggestion. And then we were going to talk about Brightline a little bit. I know you had a whole episode on it that I did watch and loved it.
Okay.
I am encouraging people to take it. I took it yesterday down to Aventura to go to the Safe Streets Summit down there in Hollywood, and it is just amazing. And I want to thank our mayor and our whole city council for getting it here because that was before I was on city council, and I know they worked hard and fast and furious to get it here in Boca, and it is a game changer. You hear that all the time, but it really is a game changer for us. We've gone down to Fort Lauderdale. Yesterday I went to Aventura. We plan on going to Miami soon, which is great because I never drive to Miami.
I was saying that to you. I was like, my husband had purchased me some tickets down for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And I think it's the Curry Mansion in Miami. And so, it's this whole big, nice evening. But, I mean, when you look at the times, Fort Lauderdale is 16 minutes from Boca. I know, less than an hour from Miami.
Yes.
I mean, I was like, rather than sitting on the, the 95, and you get there and your hair is like, and you're just like stressed to the max. I'm like, what better way? I mean, I if you saw the Brightline episode, I'm just like, this is great. This is fantastic. Because, you're sitting in this beautiful car and you're drinking, and if you want to have alcohol, and they have snacks and a charcuterie box. And I was like, this is fantastic.
It is fantastic. And we're going to take it up to West Palm. We haven't done that yet, but we have been up to West Palm in the last couple of weeks, and we saw where the station was. So we're like, all right, we need to take it up here. Yeah. And we're going up to Kravitz in a few weeks to see Jerry Seinfeld. And we said, let's take Brightline up there. Yeah. So it's just so nice, especially if you want to have a cocktail. Yeah, you're not on the street driving. Yeah. And we've also taken the circuit, the little vehicle that takes you last mile in Fort Lauderdale. We haven't taken it here in Boca, obviously, because we have our car here. But in Fort Lauderdale, we took it. My son likes to go to a place called Heritage. Go there for pizza. Circuit took us right there. We called them back when we were ready to go. They picked us back up,
know,
took
it's
us
very
back to
convenient.
Brightline. I had a little glitch with the Uber app part of Brightline yesterday, but they'll figure it out. You know, everybody has growing pains, and it was still much better than driving down.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the issues. A lot of people didn't want to take a train because I think Brightline figured out that a lot of people say, you know, that once you get to the station, now what do I do?
Right.
You know, and so they kind of conquered that for you. You know, they have the transportation available with the premium tickets or at a discount with the regular tickets.
Right.
And so it kind of solves the whole problem. They even have the shuttles to the airports now right from the station.
Yes. I've had friends take it down to Miami, and then I don't know if they Ubered to the airport. To
I think
Miami
they have a
Airport,
shuttle, yeah.
to Miami Airport. Okay.
Yeah.
So I may get adventurous and try that. I'm going up to Tallahassee next month, so I may try to do
wow.
that too, because I am flying out of Miami, which is a whole nother episode of flying out of Miami Airport. But
Yeah. It's pretty intense down there.
yeah. So, but I really enjoyed it, and I think everybody should get out there and ride it because it is just a fun way to get around, and it's going to be great for bringing people to Boca too.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So what else do you have for us?
Okay, so we were also going to talk about Vision Zero a little bit. So as you mentioned in one of your podcasts, Boca adopted Vision Zero in October of 2022 before I was on the council. And one thing I wanted to talk about was yesterday at the Safe Streets Summit, you know, we talk about bike lanes and crosswalks. Well, now you can't just talk about bike lanes, and I see it all the time. I live over in Central Boca, and I see it all the time, people riding electric scooters or those, they look like Segways without the pole. They just stand on it and it goes.
Yeah.
But they're riding those on the sidewalks, and it's really dangerous. And I am not, I'm a cyclist. I am not real keen on people riding their bicycles on the sidewalk. And I understand with children, and honestly, if I had little kids, I would be riding on the sidewalk because the streets just aren't safe to do that. And we really need to, we do a lot of things great, and we're making improvements, and we will keep making improvements with Vision Zero. But right now, it's just, it's not as safe as I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
So it'll come along, and the crosswalks. I actually love the idea of those lit up crosswalks.
Oh, yeah, the flashing light.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing to me when I saw the actual, study that it says, your focus is not on the sides, it's in the middle. And we put all of our flashing lights on.
Yeah, and I think for people that live here, like when I drive down Palmetto Park Road, I know those flashers are on the side, or if I, anywhere. I know where they are because I live here. But for folks coming into
so
our
many
city
people.
and not knowing where they are, they're kind of hard to see sometimes.
Yeah.
All the crosswalks were added on A1A. There was 11 of them added on A1A, which is great. We had the opening of those with Emily Gentili a few weeks ago, and with the flashing rectangular beacons, and they worked really well.
Good.
So I was happy to see those. And again, and a lot of people don't know that you're supposed to stop when there's pedestrians in the crosswalk, and it's just going to take people to get used to it. I have no idea why people need to speed on A1A. I always figure if you're on A1A, you should be
Taking
just
in
loving
the view.
life.
Exactly.
and being grateful that you are on A1A in South Florida. But being a cyclist, I've had many people speed by me on A1A. I've had friends who were hit by cars. And honestly, since COVID began and so many people have moved down here, and people who maybe haven't driven in a few years are now driving on our streets. I haven't ridden my bike on A1A since then. We bought bikes and ride out on the levee because there's no cars there.
Right.
It's a little safer. I also heard you talking about the widening of actual bike lanes, because we have shoulders, not bike lanes.
Exactly.
And
oh my gosh, you watched my podcast.
yes.
I'm so excited.
but instead of calling them bike lanes, down at the Safe Streets Summit, they said we really need to call them mobility lanes because there's so many more multimodal types of mobility
Absolutely.
than bikes and those scooters. And they go
They're like
fast.
the unicycle things too, right? They're
Yeah,
like
well,
the one,
yeah,
they're like one wheel. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
becoming
those,
very popular,
right?
yeah.
There's those, or the things that look like Segways that don't have, or just the electric scooters.
Yeah.
And we really need to. I would like to see connectivity, better in the city, and I know they're working on it. The markings on the streets, and
That's really important.
it is important, and it's because it's confusing. You don't know where you're supposed to
Yeah.
be, and sometimes there's a bike lane that all of a sudden ends, and where do you go?
Yeah.
So there's shared use lanes and everything, but I see improvements, and our city staff is amazing, and our city council is the best there is, I think. So I know that improvements will keep being made, and we'll get to Vision Zero.
Well, I think I even mentioned too that one of the really good things about Boca is it seems like when you have something on your strategic plan, you guys actually follow through and do it. And that's impressive to me because, I mean, there are so many towns that shall remain nameless that have strategic plans. They don't follow them. They only do half of them, So it's just nice to actually see that, you guys usually bring things to fruition, which is really good.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was very impressed about. I sat through strategic planning this year, which was at the end of May, for 3 days, and watched, how they hashed everything out and how they came up with their priorities. I was very impressed. And yes, everyone is very motivated to get the things done that we'd like to see done. So, but one of the things I wanted to mention about Vision Zero, it's not just the city's responsibility or the traffic engineer's responsibility or the TPA's responsibility or DOT's responsibility, it's the citizens' responsibility as well. You have to follow the signs. You have to follow the rules. There's no need to speed in school zones. Know where you're supposed to be, and just slow down. And
well, even pedestrians too.
Pedestrians.
When they're coming up to that crosswalk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they push the button, they just start walking, and it's a lot of times it's like you have to still look.
You have to look.
Yeah.
You have to look. And going back to Brightline too, nobody's supposed to be on the tracks. It's trespassing if you're on the tracks. And again, people are pretty good, but people get impatient and try to go around the gates. And I think it's something like 45 or 48 seconds from the times the gates go down, the trains go by, and the gates go back up. It's just not worth losing your life in those 45 seconds. So I really would like to encourage everyone to slow down, look for the trains. Sometimes there's trains coming both ways. Wait till the gates go back up.
Absolutely.
And it's not worth getting hurt, losing your life over. So person's not going to win against a train.
No.
And so I just wanted to remind everybody of that. And what else do we want to talk about? We talked about Vision Zero. Oh, the EV stations. So why don't you talk about? I'm doing a lot of talking. So
Well, that's why you're our guest. So originally I had done a podcast. I think it was the one on the Brightline edition that also went into EVs after the Brightline stuff. And it was just kind of basically just kind of the state of the state. Where's Boca at? Where's Delray at? Where's everybody at? With how many EV chargers they have. I'm talking about public EV chargers, not personal. And so it was kind of surprising because, the EV market has just, I think everybody anticipated it to be, take off, but not to the point that it did take off.
Yeah.
And it's just the automakers, everybody's jumping on board, and we're just like accelerated much more further than we thought. So we kind of have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
So I just kind of was like doing a state of the state. And then in my recent podcast, I think it was 8 or 9, I talked about how, wonderful. I was watching a PZ meeting for Boca, and, they talked about all these new updates that they have to their EV charging and so forth. So I'll let you go into that.
So I watched the St. P&Z meeting. It was on January 19th, I believe. And yes, there's an ordinance that is going to come forward about the EV stations. And I heard what you heard. So, but what I was impressed with was that I wrote down that in 2021 there was 10,000 EVs in Palm Beach County, and Boca has the highest EV adoption rate in the whole county. So I was happy to see that. And then she talked about the differences between the
EV ready,
EV capable, and the actual EV spaces. And I agree with you. Like the EVs have taken off. I told you my son has just purchased his first car that he's purchased, our youngest, and it's an EV, and he took advantage of the tax credit, which was great that he was able to do that, and I think it was a great motivator. I was happy to see that our government gave that incentive, and it's for a certain, people making a certain amount of money that they can take
Yeah, it makes
advantage
it more
of.
affordable and be able to
And it
participate.
really
Yeah.
did, and I was so happy for him that he was able to take advantage of that. And just in the last couple weeks, I literally just have started seeing more EVs, and I don't know if I'm just paying more attention or I'm really seeing them.
Yeah.
And I told you, we've owned our house for 25 years, and now we're redoing some stuff, and we're adding 2 EV stations because we know that this is the house we're going to be in forever. So we know that we're going to have electric vehicles. My husband's on the waiting list for his, and within a few years, I'm sure I'll have mine as well. And that's just the way we're going.
Well,
And
especially when the automakers are now kind of, totally kind of by a certain day, 2025, 2030. I mean, they're
Yes.
almost all going to be just,
Yes.
EVs.
Yeah.
So it's like, the train's coming. You got to kind of
Right.
jump on it.
and Boca has,
Yeah.
So I was really happy to see that and hear that our city has jumped out in
Embraced
front
it.
of it, and they have a plan, and
Very impressed with that. I
Yeah.
think it's 35% now
Right,
of the
right.
development or new developers and all different types of housing, commercial, residential, whatever.
Right.
Have to have at least EV ready or what, there was the 3 different.
right, it's the
but the total
combination
of
that adds up to 35,
yeah.
right.
Which is like way ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
yeah, I was happy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was very happy to hear that too. So, and then the last thing I was just going to mention was this Saturday. So I took the tours. When you start at city council, and I don't know if it was like this for you too, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
but you get all the
The
tours.
water plant.
Yeah. So, but being a nurse, actually, utility was great for me because I loved the science of it, and just got the whole rundown of how we get to tap water because I don't know, is this tap water? Yes.
No.
So
Oh, yeah, that's out of the
okay,
filter.
so I drink Boca tap water every single day. I think it's delicious. I think it's and I told Chris at Utility Services just how grateful I feel to live in this city, number one, but to drink clean tap water. And
Well, you guys have a new state-of-the-art facility.
it is so impressive, and I was in there with all the filters and watching everything, and it just made me happy, which is funny. But I also got tours of the municipal services, which was wonderful. Chief Muccio took me around, giving me a tour of the police, and Chief Trainer with the fire services. And so this Saturday at Town Center is the First Responders Expo. And you can meet the police, the firefighters, and the paramedics. They're going to have demos. You're going to have photo ops. You're going to have food. So I am fascinated by it. All the trucks that they have. We are ready. We are ready for everything here. And I was very, very impressed with everybody who I met. And we just have the cream of the crop here.
Well, I know that when, again, I was vice mayor in Highland Beach, and, we only have a limited amount of trucks. We were using Del Rey. We're coming off on that. We're getting our own. But we're also, we also had times where we really needed Boca to step in. And you guys were always there, whether it was a hostage situation or we didn't have a boat at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I know, so it's kind of crazy, but now we do.
Yes.
But I'm just saying you guys were always there to help. So, definitely. I mean, it's really important to have towns that work together,
It is, and they do. And they were telling me how they do work with each other, and just the level that they're all trained and love their jobs, take their jobs very seriously, and do a lot of training. Sometimes there's downtime, and they're out there training all the time.
Yeah.
So I have myself had to call 911 and had and the police, and have had different things.
Yeah.
And I'm just so impressed by when they come,
How professional.
they
skilled,
are, and really helpful. And so public safety is number one for me, and I was very happy to see all that too. So
Good.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming today. I always looked for a platform when I was the vice mayor. It's hard because you don't really have a way to talk to the public, that often, in a platform
Yeah.
sense. So hopefully you'll come back and see us again. But I wanted to thank you so much. We had a great time.
Thank you for having me. And everybody should watch our city council meetings on Channel 20 for Comcast.
Okay, so I just want to thank Fran Naklis again for coming by and having a chat with us. And again, she's going to be a great representative for Boca Raton, new city commissioner, and congratulations to her. So today's podcast is also going to be about libraries. So my thought is I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to do more of a picture walk, right, which is kind of apropos for libraries. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go over all the East libraries. So we're going to do East Boca Raton, East Highland Beach, and East Delray. So I'm going to go through them, kind of show what they're like, what's good, what's maybe some things we can maybe improve upon with some good out-of-the-box ideas, right? That's what this podcast is about. And hopefully we can land on some things that will actually happen. So first I'm going to start with Boca Raton. Okay, so this is kind of their crown jewel. This is their newest or newer library. And this library was built, I want to say maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I want to say 10 years ago. And it's really a beautiful architectural example of what a library could be. And so I'm going to go through some of that real quick. So we have beautiful arched windows. This is their computer area in the first floor. They have a beautiful staircase that leads up to the upstairs with coffered ceilings. And then this is looking down onto the first floor again. This is where their books are. If you can see in that tiny corner over there is where their youth or their I guess, children's corner is. And this is again more of just, their books and so forth. Now upstairs they have a very quiet, they have it all glassed in, like a study area, right, which is great. One of the ideas that I was thinking about when I saw this, I was kind of surprised. When I looked up really what's the best idea to have for a study area in libraries, it's all about color, it's about lighting, it's about comfort. And this kind of just looked very stark to me. And, there's no pictures on the walls and everybody's kind of facing each other. They're not looking maybe out at the windows. The coloring and the lighting is kind of a little dark. And the chairs are definitely don't look comfortable. And I don't know, I just thought maybe there's a better way to do this. So one of the things I found was, one of the best ways to have a study area like that, where you're specifically going to be studying only, is to have kind of a multi-use areas, right? So you have different types of people that want to study in different ways. Some want to sit on a couch, some want to sit at a table. So I found this library that has beautiful artwork, has bright colors, has really good lighting, has different offerings. Again, some people want to maybe sit at tables. They also have, in this case, they have these little booths where you have some privacy and can just sit on your computer. So I was like, well, that's, these are some really good suggestions for that area upstairs. If you actually look at it again, compared to what some of these ideas are, I think they're worth, maybe thinking about doing. So to make it more comfortable for people that want to just study. Again, it's all about multi-use areas that are for studying. Again, comfort, lighting, and beautiful colors and things like that. So that was one of the suggestions I had. And then just continuing on, again, this is more of the, again, area for computers. One of the things that's interesting in Boca is they do have, in this library, is they do have actually like a cafe. It's been built that way. It doesn't look like it has a vendor right now. I have been there before when there was a vendor, and I got a lot of use. A lot of people come here, have lunch, maybe they play a card game, or whatever, Mahjong or whatever they want to play. There's a whole other section off to the side there. I guess, so yeah, the picture shows it a little bit. The other thing I wanted to show real quick is they have this wall of everything that they offer and resources that are available and so forth at the library. So it just was a wall of pamphlets and brochures, and I was pretty impressed. One of the other things that they have is they actually have like a digital library. So they also have a lot of offerings of digital type of apps and so forth that are available to library patrons, which is kind of important too, especially for FAU students and people that have their own business and things like that. So that was pretty interesting to see. I think I had posted this once before in Delray Matters. They actually had this seed library, right? So that you're allowed to take, I think, a pack of seeds, and you just fill out the form, and they have different types and so forth. And I thought that's a really nice kind of homey touch to it, to be able to have something for the community to be able to take. Now, getting back to the building itself, so this is the back of the building, and then where this building is located on Spanish River is there's a large lake behind it. But what they did is they built this actually to be able to house venues, right? So I know that there's weddings, there's all different functions that have been here. I have seen it set up that way. There's, they actually have caterers come in and they actually do a full-blown weddings and so forth. So they are using this also as a revenue generator, right? Which is great, the way they built it. They have an upstairs outside with a pergola. And again, they have this big open area that's usually set up with tables, and they have different areas. This is actually looking out from the library. When you look out to the library, you actually see the stairs going down, and there's actually a paved walkway all around the lake. So you can go around the whole lake, take a walk. They have benches and trees and lamps, and it's a very pretty walk to go around the lake there. There's some homes that are right upon the lake. So again, very mature trees. This is kind of the side view of the backyard, the back of the library. And this is the area that's usually set up for venues. Again, just more of the back of the library. And here's some of the benches around and the walkway and so forth that starts around the library. In this case, you can see there's actually a little bridge that they made that goes into a natural area that's connected to the library, and that continues around, like I said, around the whole lake area that goes back to the library. And so this is a cute little bridge, goes into a natural reserve. And this is a better picture of the lake. And here's a better picture of the walkway that goes around the lake. More lake. So one of the suggestions, again, I had in addition to upstairs was, this lake is here. They have this beautiful entryway onto the lake. And why not maybe have it like a community kind of activity for the lake, right? So one of the things I was thinking of is why not have some rowboats? Why not have some kind of boating or, something there that's kind of organized and structured, right? So have a little dock, have some little rowboats. I just thought, what a cute idea, right? To be able to go to the library and just row around a little bit, read a book on your rowboat, and just a peaceful afternoon, not during the summer. So Boca also has this thing, I noticed it when I was taking pictures. It says, "This way to the Story Walk." And so what the Story Walk is once a month they change it. And all along that pathway through around the lake to back to the library, they have pages of a storybook and on podiums that they have set up. And so basically, as you're walking, you're reading the next page, and then you're going to read the next page, and then you're going to read the next page. And so what a fun idea to bring, the kids or whatever. And they do change it often. So again, it's just another thing to enjoy going for that walk, and it kind of a motivation to do that. So I thought a story walk was a great idea in order to get some exercise with the family, get out in nature, and actually be reading and so forth. So great idea. Kudos. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Delray Beach Library. Now, I had never been in the Delray Beach Library, and so I was really, excited to go see it. So I'm just going to show you some pictures that I got. Okay, so this is the back of the library. So all the parking is in the back of the library, and you enter from the back. And this is the entryway hall, and this was nice. This was the staircase and kind of like a sculpture that they have. There was some lighting, so that was very attractive. And then this was one of the rooms right when you come in. I did notice that they still have all their plexiglass up around everybody's booths for help or resource or whatever. It just seemed very, cold that way. So maybe we should take those down at this point. Also, the people that are working there, they're all just, they're sitting in those booths, and rather than being out and, kind of making their way around and seeing if anybody needs help or if anybody needs assistance. So I just think maybe taking those down will motivate more people to get out and kind of walk around and it's part of the library community. I'm assuming this is going to be some type of February 14th, Valentine's Day. One thing that was impressive for me was the children's area. So the children's area is very large in Delray Beach Library, in this particular library. It's almost the whole first floor. Very small amount is books. So the children's area takes up a lot of the first floor. And there's all different areas of the children's area. This is the upstairs. So the upstairs was really nice. I was impressed with the upstairs. Lots of books, lots of tables. It did seem like that part of the upstairs really wasn't being utilized very well. It just was all closed up and dark. And I'm assuming a lot of that is the computers or things like that, or maybe rooms or whatever. It just seems like they should be, open and more inviting to use during the day, or if people want to go in there and maybe just sit and study. It just seems like there really wasn't like a nice, quiet study area for adults, So maybe that would be something to do. So there was a teen room. So this was the teen room, which was nice. It was very nicely done. And then I did notice that they had a really nice art. They had a beautiful mural that went around the inside of the, between the first and second floor, which was very nice. Okay, so some of my suggestions for Delray Library. So when you come out, they have a huge back parking lot. And I do know that they do use that parking lot for a lot of things, they have a lot of homeless services and showers and things like that. Sometimes meals and things like that, which is great, absolutely. But I still think that back parking lot could be used for a couple things. And the first thing I noticed was that it's right next to, literally, this is Sunday Village right there. So there's a fence kind of separating the library parking lot right from Sunday Village. And I was like, well, wait, let's think about that for a minute. What can we do with Sunday Village and the library? I was like, well, first of all, they're saving a lot of homes from Sunday Village. Here's some of the homes that they're saving, the turn of the century homes and so forth. And why not, have a connection there, right? Like, so have a gate or have a walkway through or some nice cobblestone or whatever to kind of connect people that are in the library to be able to walk through Sunday Village. It's because Sunday Village is supposed to be stores and restaurants and things like that, in addition to offices and some residences. It's a whole village, right? So it would be nice to have this egress between the library and Sunday Village and work with the developers and say, hey, we want to connect the library to Sunday Village, not only for the people that are living there that can come walk easily over to the library, but a lot of people that are in the library can walk over to Sunday Village. And then I was thinking about even the story walk, right? So the story walk we talked about in the Boca Library, where you actually walk through and you go around in a circle and come back and you're reading, pages of a book as you're walking, and kind of incorporating that in a place to actually walk that's nice and peaceful and has historic homes and things like that would be a great idea to incorporate a story walk through Sunday Village and looping back around through and coming back out. So especially when you're surrounded by these beautiful historic homes. So I think, breaking through and actually connecting the two would be actually really advantageous and a win-win for both. So that's just an idea. Here's some ideas I had of what you could do to try to make the transition easier between the library and rather than just a cold, opening, actually kind of fitting the Sunday Village historical theme, attaching it to the library. That's one. Here's another one with a beautiful, gate and cobblestone. Something like this even, obviously not that many of them, but just something very special and unique to connect the two would be really nice. And again, a story walk would be, a great idea to incorporate the library into Sunday Village. Okay, the other part of it is, all the other libraries have like outside seating, right? Especially on nice days when you just want to sit outside and read a book. And so my thought is that, utilize some of that parking area to become outside seating. Now, if you want to enclose it so it's only open during library hours, I found this picture where you actually see that they have it enclosed all around, but it's just a nice outdoor area. They have the lattice there, so that you're not in direct sunlight. It's comfortable. You can take a book out there, read a book. There's a couple of different seating areas. And I'm like, well, what a great idea, right? To be able to sit outside when you have this massive parking lot. Just take back some of the parking lot and put some seating area that's attached to the library. Again, it can be enclosed, so it's closed after the hours, so you don't have to worry about somebody using it or whatever after the library is closed. And it can just be able to go into it from the inside of the library, and it's just a nice, comforting, relaxing area for people that want to read outside in the shade or in a shaded area. And again, this is just another concept drawing for another idea. Okay, so Highland Beach. So Highland Beach has a library, and their libraries, on a much smaller scale. Again, it's a kind of a bedroom community. We don't really have any commercial properties or stores, or we have one grandfathered in hotel that has a restaurant, which everyone knows, Latitudes, but that's it. Okay, so we're kind of a bedroom community, all residential. So we have a lot of people here, and actually we have more and more that are staying full time. But we do have our own library. We have our own water plant and so forth. So I'm going to just give you a quick tour of our library. So they did put a lot of kind of architectural features in Highland Beach Library. We have a beautiful rotunda that goes all the way up and has beautiful seating and comfortable seating in there. And here's another picture of that. And we're also right on the intercoastal. So it has beautiful water views all along the back. What they also did on the sides of that is they put on both sides of the library in the back, they have screen rooms, right? So it's so nice. They have like these wood, teak, Adirondack type chairs, like you're outside in your screen porch, and beautiful arches. And it's just nice because you don't get eaten alive by the no-see-ums or the mosquitoes. And you can just sit out there and read a book and watch, boats go by. You're right there on the intercoastal. So here's a better picture of that on the other side. They have screen rooms on both sides. And I think I mentioned in episode 1 about a water taxi and about how there's some property behind the library that we would be able to have a stop. There's parking, obviously, in the city center here in Highland Beach. So here's just a little glimpse of what a little bit of the grass is. It's much bigger than that off to the side, but you get an idea where you could have a stop for a water taxi. And that's what I put, a water taxi. And here's the children's area. Now, Highland Beach usually didn't have many children. That is changing a lot. So this is their children's section. I'm sure they'll expand it as needed. Here's their computer section. They also have a room there that is kind of like a multi-purpose room that they use for art shows, that they have an art show going on right now. And they also use it for their film festivals. They use it for speeches. They use it for speakers. So they have like a little stage. They have lighting, and they also have, obviously a podium when they need it. So it's kind of a multi-purpose area that they use for different things. Okay, so I'm going to go into science and technology. So when I saw this, I was like, this is kind of, I think, how a lot of us are feeling. It used to be that architecture was very specific, right, to certain areas, whether it's, this is internationally, but it's about getting the point across. Europe and Asia and Russia and South America all have kind of different styles. And, I've been to Europe and, Italy. And so everybody has different styles, right? And it's kind of saying, like this architectural group was saying, that it seems like everything's kind of getting watered down and everything's getting kind of the same. And, it's saying now, it was then, and now it's Asia, and Russia and everything all kind of have the same, block style. We all talked about, a lot of the development that's going on in our area is just that, contemporary white brick or, no, not brick, white concrete block kind of style. And, we're losing some of the architectural details, right, that we used to get. So those are kind of really important. So when I saw this next slide, I was so excited. So no, it's not a bad slide, it's a good slide. So basically, what happened was this building was in the 60s, it was turned and modernized, right, with the glass and the concrete and everything. And then what they did in 2016 is they took all of that fake facade off and they restored it back to the actual original building. And I was like, this is a great idea. How many times have you seen? I think if you watch the historic preservation episode, where I show a lot of these historic buildings, their facades were just totally watered down, changed, and so forth. Look at how beautiful that building is to the right. There's a lot of detail to it, and it makes you feel good to the fact that it goes back to its original look and purpose and so forth, and its architecture. So this was a great thing to see. So I hope more things happen like that. And then I saw this and I had to put it on here because this reminds me of episode 1 when I talked about that beautiful Paris subway station that was turned into a public pool for Paris. And I saw this and I said, oh my goodness. I'm like, I think this was it's in Croatia. It was a house, it was the foundation. And what they did is they turned it into a pool. And I was like, again, just another idea out of the box. And again, it's not just about pools, but it's just like, there's so many different things we can think about and use that are different. And it's just beautiful. I mean, the whole surrounding there, the countryside, the water behind it. I mean, it's a gorgeous picture. Okay, so now I saw somebody post this the other day, but I had already actually had it in here for this week, and I was like, I want to kind of expand on it a little bit because it's a great idea, and it's happening in Australia. And what they did is Australia has put aside $70 million to get new innovative ideas going in the country to solve problems, right? So this is actually happening in Victoria. It was for a mile strip of road. And, I saw a lot of naysayers on there. Well, it doesn't last that long and it's not going to stay lit and, streetlights are better. You got to think differently. Okay. So first of all, that might have been true 10 years ago, but the paint that they're using stays, they said, all through the night. So it doesn't go away. Okay. It stays. If it's charged during the day, it stays. Yes. Are there cloudy days? Of course there are cloudy days, but in Australia, probably not so much. But this is going to be something that's used. Australia is a very large country, so streetlights are probably not an option in the middle of rural areas like this. So this is a cost-effective way to light up the road, not only in the middle, but on the side, so you know where the roads are when you're driving in pitch black at night. So this fluorescent type of paint lasts all through the night, and it gets charged, and it's cost effective. So again, this is kind of the innovative ideas. I mean, I really wish we would have something like this where we're trying to get new thinkers and new ideas to solve everyday problems or improve our lives better. So this is another picture of it. I think they tried a couple of different hues, and they picked the bluish green, I guess, was the best one. So they were equating it to Tron, and it's funny because I think in my last podcast, I had a roller coaster that was based on Tron. It seems like Tron is making a comeback. So anyway, but now this is the lighting on the street, and everyone seems to be excited about it. The actual Instagram or Facebook post about it went viral, and everyone loves it. So hopefully they will come to fruition from this program, and they will solve some of their problems. Okay, now we're into art. So now I saw this and I was like, this is beautiful, right? So this actually is a optical illusion. It actually looks like you're going deep into a covered, wired area, but in actuality, it's just a gate. So I just thought how beautiful this is. I think this was in France, if I'm not mistaken, or Vienna. And I just thought this is just, again, the art and the talent that goes into something like this. And I remember back in, what was it, high school or middle school, where you're doing your art class and you have to do the whole perception thing and doing these kind of lines to make sure that it's showing that you're going away. And anyway, so I just loved it. I thought it was so nice. And it's amazing how optical illusions work, right? And then last but not least, I wanted to go through and show you a new building. This is in Paris or in France. And I just thought, again, whether you like it, don't like it, the whole idea is that something different, something new, something that's innovative, right? If you think about how do you get from the top to the top floor from the bottom floor. I'm sure there's, elevators and stairs and so forth through the head part, but it's just kind of one of those neat kind of things that you see and it's like, wow, that's really innovative. And again, whether it's your preference or not, it's something new. So I'm going to leave you on that with art and we'll see you next week.